The government's mess over super, well, it's getting stickier and stickier, especially with the Assistant Treasurer's unwise reference in a speech yesterday to a super fund sector meeting in Melbourne that your super is his honey that belonged, he says, to the whole hive rather than the bees that made it. Now, I know there's competition, but he's got to be the biggest goose on Labor's front bench. And it's clear none of his colleagues were willing to endorse his honeypot nonsense.
I googled this conference on superannuation, and the front of the conference has a picture of a bee and a hive, and I think the Assistant Treasurer made some dad jokes.
Should he have said it like that? Didn't go down well, did it?
Well, I'll use my words, Nat.
Is that a suitable reference?
Oh, look, I just think that is a turn of phrase, and the broader issue really is what the government's trying to do, which is to better define what the objective of superannuation is.
Here was the PM too, trying to mop up.
You've ruled out super changes. Your Assistant Treasurer says you're looking at it. Which one is it?
I've ruled out major changes to superannuation. That is what we are doing.
But there's not a big enough mop to mop up this mess, given that the Assistant Treasurer is only backing in what the Treasurer himself said earlier in the week, that the government doesn't regard a tax increase as anything major.
We're not proposing and not contemplating major changes to the system. I mean, I don't think people considered it to be a major change last time there were tweaks of that nature.
Tweaks, but you're talking about taxing at a different level, the income on superannuation, and that's not a major change.
I wouldn't have thought so, Neil. Depends how you do it.
And here's the heart of the issue. Superannuation is your money. Wages that would otherwise have gone to you, but that the government's forced you to put aside for your retirement. Yet this government thinks that your foregone wages, your super, is now theirs to use, not yours. Hence the Treasurer's preference to have the super funds invest your money in so-called affordable housing or climate projects, rather than allow you, as the previous government wanted, to invest your super in at least your first home or a second home later in life if you go through divorce or separation. At present, all super is tax advantaged and it's invested to maximise returns to you. Any change to so-called concessions, whether it's more tax on earnings, more tax on withdrawals, or a more compulsion system, make you take a self-funded pension and annuity rather than a lump sum, will all be retrospective changes. And the basic problem for the government here is that anything it does will be both a tax increase and a broken promise, given both the PM and the Treasurer were very clear before the election that they wouldn't make any changes. And by reinforcing other broken promises, it helps to confirm, forget what they say before the election, if you elect them, Labor can't be trusted. Like the promise to cut your power bills by $275 a year, which plainly won't be met. Like the promises to boost real wages, which plainly won't be met. Indeed, the stats this week confirmed the sharpest fall in real wages on record, a decline of over 4%. And like Kevin Rudd's 2007 promise of no changes to super, I remember it well, he said back then, not one jot, not one tittle. Well, he broke that as soon as he got into office. For the first time since the election, this week we've seen something tangible that the coalition can fight on. Opposing this and any other change to super that this government might be desperate enough to bring in is a no-brainer, because it allows the Liberals to restore their once proud reputation as the party of lower tax and smaller government that's got so tarnished in recent years. Now let's hope it finds some other policies too on which it can stop being Labor light and actually be Liberal again.